In this video, we are going to take a look at an uncommon variant of the SP6920 carbine, and this specific model is SP6920MP-B, which stands for MagPul-Black. Prior to 2011, Colt's AR-15 line was split into two different product lines. You had the SP serial number prefix as the sporter line, and you had the LE serial number prefix that was law enforcement line. In 2011, Colt began integrating the what was new at the time is the M4 Carbine roll mark, and putting both product lines under one model that later became known as the LE6920. What we're going to look at in this video is one of the last SP serial number prefix carbines made, as the transition to the M4 Carbine roll mark was being done. So this example that I have here, even though it's a new condition, the box is pretty roughed up, but that's not uncommon for this box design, as old as it is. This example's missing a couple of the accessory items, which were factory flyers, NRA membership flyer, and one other thing. As a MagPul promotional product, it came with two 30-round MagPul magazines. And correct for this time is this brown packaging. That packaging has changed with newer models of the magazines. And then in the Colt accessory bag is a cleaning kit, a manual, and a sling. So let me get this out and we'll take a closer look. So the accessory bag, one thing that's kind of interesting about it is it's dated December of 2007. And I know this is the original bag that came with it. I'm the second owner, and I have no reason to believe that the original owner replace this bag. As you'll see in a little bit, the barrel date on the carbine itself is September 2011. Also included is a MagPul foregrip. The mounting hardware is inside the grip. You got a standard GI type chamber brush, a standard GI type bore brush, cleaning rod kit that's still sealed in the plastic. Although this says Colt Match Target Rifle, this is the correct manual that came with the carbine, and then a standard nylon GI type, what is commonly referred to as a silent sling. And then in here we have the bag that you can see there is labeled with the firearm serial number and the model number, SP6920MP-B. So I'll get this out of the bag and we'll start taking a closer look at the details of the carbine. So starting out, we'll take a quick overall look at the carbine, and then we'll do a deeper dive into some of the features. Here we have a MagPul stock. The buffer tube is 4-position. You have a MagPul M-bus backup iron sight. Here you can see the T numbers on the top rail. You've got the staking visible in the castle nut. Coming down the left side, markings here are Colt's Manufacturing Company Incorporated, Hartford, Connecticut. And so here Here is where you see the integration of the M4 Carbine roll mark, but the serial number still has an SP prefix, which is left over from the Sporter series. Colt had to use up all their SP serial numbers before they could integrate the LE prefix serial numbers with the M4 Carbine roll mark. You got the MagPul handguard, and then just a standard profile carbine barrel. Let me get this turned around. All right, so now we're going down the right side. I didn't point out previously, but it's got the MagPul pistol grip. It's got a MagPul trigger guard. Here you see the stamped C with the Zero Forge, what's commonly referred to as the keyhole forge mark. You get fire and safe markings with no tick visible. Here you can see some pretty significant machining marks that were just anodized over. Some people get bent out of shape about that, but I really don't have a problem with it. I mean, it's firearm manufacturing, and things aren't perfect, even though people expect perfection. To me, it just adds a little more character to the piece. And then down here on the lower receiver, you see a Zero Forge keyhole forge mark as well. So you've got both a Zero Forge lower receiver and a Zero Forge upper receiver. Contrary to popular belief, the lowers and uppers do not necessarily come from the same forge. And additionally, they do not get anodized at the same time. So that's why you see variances in anodizing shades. I was looking here to see if there's any proof marks visible. And here we see the casting mark on the front sight base. It's a B and a number 2. I came back around to the left side. Here you see the F marked front sight base. You don't see the F on the front sight bases these days because there's only one height of sight base used in manufacturing. Back during this time, there was 2 different heights being used. Here we look at the front of the top 1913 rail, and it's hard to get it to stand out because of my lighting. But you can see there's an M4 there on the front of the 1913 rail that's on top. I pulled the slip ring back and removed the MagPul top and bottom handguard. As you can see, the top section does not have a heat shield, but the bottom section does, and it wraps up around part of the top section on the inside to provide some heat protection. The white dot here is a quality control mark. You still see that on some of their examples, production examples today. And see if I can get the, yeah, there you can see the barrel date, 09/11. So that's September 2011 barrel date. Contrary to popular belief also, that does not indicate the manufacturing month. That's only the barrel date, but you can kind of assume that the firearm was probably manufactured within that month, or maybe within a couple of months of the barrel date. So I'll get this opened up and we'll take a look at some of the internal stuff. All right, so here I've got the upper receiver bear with me here a minute. I have the upper receiver and lower receiver separated. Here's a close-up look at the buttstock. This is the locking lever to adjust it. A lot of you guys have seen this already, so really not a whole lot to say about it. Here's the lower receiver. There's the 4 positions in the receiver extension that we talked about. Drain hole in the back. You have an H-marked buffer with just a standard carbine spring. I'm not going to pull it out. We've all seen that. No manufacturer markings on the left side of the hammer. On the right side, there you can see a couple of S's and the number 3. Those are our Schmidt tool markings. And there's the inside of the lower receiver. Still has the block there, or blocking. The charging handle is just a standard charging handle. There's nothing out of the ordinary about that. There's no visible markings. Here's the bolt carrier group. As a lot of you like to see, there's the stamped C right there. Nice dark anodizing. See if I can get this apart. There's factory grease in here still, so everything is pretty stiff. Other than test fire at the factory, this firearm hasn't been fired any. Firing pin wants to roll around on my table. So here on the bolt, we see the white dot quality control mark as well. There is the MPC stamp. And then we'll look at the extractor. This has the bronze spring and brass or black insert, and then there you can see get the light on it right there. There you can see the C stamp on the extractor. I failed to show you earlier the manufacturer marks on the barrel. There you see the CMP 556 NATO 1 and 7. So let me get this back together and I'll have a final comment. So in the last 13 minutes, we've looked at this example of the SP6920MP-B MagPul-Black. Again, this carbine with the M4 Carbine roll mark and the SP prefix serial number was only made for about a year. You can see more information on this example on my website, where I talk about the variance in the blue box label compared to the later production white box label. This SP6920MP-B, this is the grandfather, if you will, of the current CR6920 MP-SB. And then the example prior to the current production model was the LE6920 MP-SB. So there's 3 generations really of the Magpul equipped carbine. And I know a lot of people aren't Magpul fans these days, but really is pretty nice setup. The Magpul furniture is durable. So if a guy wanted a truck gun or something, you know, the Magpul furniture really stands up to a beating. I don't recommend getting this SP6920MP-B really is a collectible at this point, more than I'd recommend it as a shooter. But anyway, I just had an opportunity to add this to my collection a while back. It's a unique piece. You don't see very many of them. A lot of people that have them don't recognize them for what they are, as a transitional model that wasn't made very long. And just thought it'd be neat to show some details and talk about it a little bit. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and there'll be more to come.